Hello, this is Carl, also known as Zerapath from the Custom Magic community, and today I'm just doing a quick video on how to start playing Custom Standard. This is not so much about what Custom Standard is. A brief summary is that it's a custom constructed Magic format made entirely of custom sets made by designers who are not employees of Wizards of the Coast, just people who love designing their own Magic cards. The sets that are voted into Custom Standard are of the highest quality generally, receive a lot of feedback, very polished and fun to play. And the custom standard format usually has 5 to 6 custom standard sets in it. And you build your own decks, you play against other people, we keep track of wins and losses, there's tournaments. You can get as involved as you want, so you can just play a few games here and there, or you can, play lots of games. It's fun to talk with people about the meta. It's just a really fun experience. But one of the daunting things can be just how do I get set up? How do I start playing? And this video is to show that it's really not as daunting a task as it needs to be. The first step is to download Cockatrice, and I'm going to have links for all of these things in the video description. And there's also a helpful document that I'll also link, What is Custom Standard? And it has links to many of these things. This guide written by Zoo has basically all the same steps that I'm going through here. First step, you're going to want to download Cockatrice. I already have it downloaded on my computer, but you're just going to download that, run it. When you first run it, it's going to download all of the cards for actual real Magic sets, and that's not really that difficult to do. So you just go through that, and there's a set manager we'll get into later, but it shows all the sets it has. For now, we're just going to disable them all. We don't need to look at them. Custom standard cards from its sets. You don't have to worry about having all those other ones. Okay, so that's Cockatrice. The next thing you're going to want to do is be set up with Discord. I will have a link for this. I like having a Discord app on my PC because that's what I play from. You can also do it in browser. Just create a login and log into it. You can download the app to your computer. I have that already. And then what you're going to want to do is load up a specific server. So you see the symbol here. Those are 5 custards of the 5 colors of magic. It's called custard because custom standard. That's just the shortening of that phrase that we used. And I also have a link for that. I'm just pasting it in here. But yeah, that link is going to be in the description. You just paste that in. It's basically an invitation to the server. And you'll continue to Discord. If you're already logged in, it'll just load that up and you'll have joined the server. So here we are in custom Discord. And what we're going to do is download the files that we're going to put into Cockatrice. It's in Rules and Resources format download. There's many of these channels have pinned messages. This one doesn't yet because there's no need to. There's only 2 things. But we'll have links to various things to help you if you're interested, and we'll maybe look at a few of those as part of this. So we're going to download the format. This is where that link takes us. I'm just going to download that. Download anyway. I'll show that in the folder. Okay. We're going to extract the files. So not too hard. Where did it get extracted to though? That's what I want to know. Okay. Nope, that wasn't it. There we go. Okay, so open it up. Okay, there's installation instructions, but here's the secret. You just drag these over into the right folder. The issue, however, is where is that right folder? Cockatrice kind of hides on your computer. However, it always hides in generally the same spot, and this is what you need to remember. So C users, and then your username. Mine is Carl because my name is Carl. App data local. And then to Cockatrice, and then Cockatrice again. What I've done is I've just made a shortcut to this folder on my desktop so that, you know, when I'm updating Custard, the next time the rotation happens, you download new files. It's easy to find, and I just drag the stuff in. Okay, so you'll see there's a custom sets and a pics folder that has the file for the information of the cards, so you can run it in Cockatrice. The pics is what the cards will look like. Very simple. You know, select these, and we're going to move them over here. And wow, now it's in Cockatrice. So we had Cockatrice open when we did that. Always best to close and reload Cockatrice so it can, you know, see those things. Oh, hey, why does it keep loading everything? Let's disable all the sets. But now how are we going to enable the custom ones? Sort by set type. And you'll see that the custom ones don't have the, you know, specific set types. But Hollows, Araloo, Rakoa, Janata, CC18. I think I must have anchored it from the previous time. That's not in custom standard right now. Anyway, those are the 5 sets. And I'm just going to say OK. They're all good. And you can browse through the sets. CC18, Araloo, Rakoa, Janata, Hollows. You can see it's still kind of loading the sets as I'm scrolling. That's why they kind of ghosted in and out. Okay, so now we have the cards. You can see the images are showing up. You always want to make sure the images show up. You can look through them if you want. There's ways to search here with this filter. Here, I'm going to make this big, so for the purposes of the video, you can see. We do have some reprints. That way we can have things like duress and, you know, essence scatter and negate and things like that. But the vast majority of the cards are custom designs. Alright, so we've downloaded the cards. Now how do we play? Well, you need a deck. And you can make your own deck. It's not so hard to build a deck in Cockatrice. You know, new one, you can save as. But if you're just getting started, really easy way to do this is to just pick a deck that has already been designed by somebody else. You don't know the format much. In the deck building channel of the server, there's a pinned deck builders primer. You can find the same primer, I believe, from the What is Custom Standard document. I think there's links to it in here somewhere. Yeah, the deck builders primer. And it, you know, shows what are the many of the constructed players. This isn't entirely accurate, it's kind of subjective, but you'll know at least some of the more popular or more powerful cards just by looking through here as a deck building guide. But it also has links to actual decks being played by people. So, oh yeah, season deck lists. I'll have this specific link so we won't have to do the same hunting that I'm doing here. Okay, and you see it's organized by aggro, mid-range control. Let's load up an aggro deck. Oh, I like this deck. So there's a black-red burn deck we can do that I made. But let's load blue-black merfolk. What you want to do is you are just going to drag, select, whole deck, Control-C, we're copying this thing. I'm going to go into Cockatrice, deck editor, load deck from clipboard. This saves you lots of time so you don't have to recreate other people's deck lists. You just copy and paste them. And it'll, you know, make sure that this is what you want to paste in. And we can see, yep, the deck has loaded correctly. and as a sideboard, we need to add something to the sideboard. It should be 15 cards. But yeah, this is how that works. So we're gonna save this deck as Black Norfolk. So now we have a deck. Now, how do we play with somebody? We have the tools to play. Well, first thing you want to do is you want to go back into the Discord. This is one of its main uses. And what you will do is you will ping people. So there's a specific group you can ping, and that is LFG Constructed. So you'll ping that, and people who have signed up for that, I'll show you how to sign up for that right after this, will get pinged that someone is looking for a game. I'm going to say anyone for a constructed game. I'm available for the next hour or so. Yeah. And I'm just going to clarify that this is just for a video. And then if somebody says, yes, I'd love to join, I'd love to play this game, they will maybe ping you back. They'll say, Zerapath. Sure. And then what you will generally do is you'll say, okay, I'm going to make a game. The game name will be CS. Password will be CS. Or, you know, whatever you want to call the game, just as long as they know what the password is. Now, the way you do this, well, let's talk about the roles again. So the best way to do that, if you go to bot spam, do .im LFG constructed. You'll join the role so that you can get pings if you're interested in playing with other people. Okay, so how do we actually play with them? So in Cockatrice, what you want to do is connect to a server. And we use a specific server. It's called Rooster Ranges. The port number is 4748, and that's how you're going to find it. Our name can't be empty. I think this is my password. Is that it? Yeah, okay, that was my password. All right, so it does work. But if it is your first time, and disconnect from server, then you're going to want to register to the server. You'll probably want to do this before you ping, right? So the host, server.cockatrice.us, the port is 4748, and what you want to do is you will create a player name, you'll create a password. This is just standard registration stuff. Everybody knows how to do this. But the point is you have to wait a few minutes for them to email you. Don't put in your real name. Don't worry about that. And you can put what country you're in, just so people know your time zone and language, if that's important. It's nice to see a little flag if you care about that. And once you're all set up to do that, then you can go connect, and you'll connect to the server, and you'll see all these tabs appear. I click on Magic, and it'll show games people are playing. This server is not limited to custom standard, obviously. In fact, you know, there's very little of custom standard here. But you've already agreed on a name and password, so we're going to create a description CS. The password will be CS. You don't have to make it so only registered users can join. The important thing is there's a password, so you know that only a certain other person can play it. And you can also let other people watch. So other people who play custom standard and are just interested in seeing how it goes. We're going to let them watch. So you'll come to the screen. There will be another player there. You're going to want to load your deck. Go into the deck folder that we previously saved our Merfolk deck into. Open it up. You can see it just so you're sure it's the right deck. It has a sideboard. You'll click ready to start when you're ready, and then once the other person has said they're ready, then you will begin. Since nobody else has joined here, we're just going to do a local game. I'm just going to show a few start a local game. So this is one player. A few of the shortcuts, because that was the intimidating thing for me personally, is how do I even play in Cockatrice? It's not a rules enforcing engine, because if it were, Wizards could sue them. So you have to manually do everything. And that sounds very tedious, but it's not at all. There's a lot of great shortcuts. So you see you've got your 60 card deck, counts your life total, and cards in hand. You have a graveyard zone, an exile zone. If you have floating mana, you can, add it there. Has the phases of the game. The very first thing when you load up a game with somebody is you do Control I, and that will roll a die. You roll a 20-sided die, and it'll show in chat over here what you roll. And whoever has a higher roll can pick what they want to do. And I'll say, I'll play first, assuming they rolled less than 5. Like, okay. Now, to draw 7 cards, you just do Control M. If you want to draw specific cards, well, we'll get to that. Okay, so we have Control M. Well, let's say you want to mulligan. You look at your opening hand. You say, I don't like this. You can press Control M again. It won't draw you a new 7. It will draw you -1 from what you already have. So now we're at 6. Let's say, okay, I want to keep this. So we'll say keep, and if they've kept, then we'll begin the game. But since we've gone down to 6, we need to scry. Well, how do you scry in Cockatrice? It's very easy. Right-click on a deck, and you see there's a lot of options here. You'll use some of them for certain cards, but what we're going to do is view the top. This is also a shortcut, Control W. I guess it's not one that I've memorized, and so I always right-click. So how many do we want to view? Just 1. And at this point, say, oh, 2 lands. Let's yes, move this to the top, or you can move it to the bottom in a random order. Even though in the chat, so let's say we'll move it to the bottom. Even though in the chat it says, player 1 put swamp on the bottom, they don't see what the card is, even though that shows up in chat. So don't worry about that. Since we won, we're going first, and you can manually go through all the phases. We don't draw, so we don't click on this again, or else we'll accidentally draw another card. But let's say we did. So, oh no, I wasn't supposed to draw. So this happens sometimes. You accidentally draw cards you shouldn't have in Cockatrice. Shortcut to have, right-click on the deck, undo last draw, gets undone, and then you can shuffle the deck or whatever. Main, to play a card, you just double-click it, it'll come out, or you can drag it out, right? And when you're done with your turn, you click on End, and then the other player will press Pass, and you'll see this kind of highlight of the board go away, and it'll go to their side, right? So let's say it's our turn again, upkeep. I double-click on Draw, and we, get our next draw. So we're in our main phase. We'll play a Drowned Catacomb. This Merfolk has Flash. We also have a Counterspell. So let's, end the turn, and it's going to be their turn. And let's say we want to interrupt them with something. We're going to double-click and cast Mystic Rebuttal. When you double-click a spell instead of a land, I believe this is how it works, it goes into this red zone, which is kind of the stack. If there's multiple spells going on or multiple potential targets, something you'll do a lot in Cockatrice is you'll right-click on the card, hold down right-click, and you can point to what it's targeting. And then they'll respond, and you can, let's say you countered a spell. Let's say they countered my Mystic Rebuttal. Like, okay, it resolves. I'll just drag it to my graveyard, right? And we'll move through the phases that way. Cockatrice is pretty easy to understand. If you have creatures in play, you double-click them to attack. As you change your life total, you can click on it to do it 1 by 1. If you're getting lots of damage, easy way is Control L to modify your life. So, oh, I took 6 damage, I'll go to 14. If you're modifying a creature, you put a bunch of tokens on it. Control P while you're holding the creature. Change it to an 8/8, right? I just put 7 + 1 + 1 tokens on it, or whatever. If you want to indicate that it has tokens, you right-click the creature and you can set the counters. Oh, by the way, 7 of that is +1 + 1 counters if you have some other card that modifies or cares about those counters. Anyway, those are some very basic useful shortcuts for Cockatrice, and there's not that much more that's important. So I guess one thing is double-sided cards. It's really not as complicated as it might be. Here, let's make this big because it's for a video, but not down there. Let's move it there. And you can kind of modify where your windows and things are for your own personal preference. So this is big just for the sake of the video. You see this is another side. Well, how can we tell what the other side does? You right click on a creature and you say view related cards. Scale, Blight, Cutthroat. And now you can see it. Well, when it transforms, how do we get to that other side? It's nice to be able to see it. Well, right click, there's this token thing. You're not actually making a token. It just finds a specific image and puts on the battlefield. And, you know, I'll attach that to this so that, oh, one over here. So that now they're attached, but we know what side of the card it is. It's on this side. And then if this goes to the graveyard or exile, the token disappears, which is actually just the other side of the card, and it's just the front face. Anyway, I'm getting too into Cockatrice at this point, but my point is very easy to download what you need to get everything set up and to start playing. So hopefully this is useful, a useful guide. If you want a written guide, I'll have a link to that. So this is where, how do I start playing in this guide, and here we'll link you over here, and it'll show how to basically do the same things that we've just gone over, and some more Cockatrice tricks. Anyway, I hope this video will prove useful to many of you, and I hope to see you on the Discord.